Hello everyone, I welcome you all to the third lecture of judicial process. In judicial process, today we will be dealing with the judicial process in the form of creativity in law. Now, creativity in law, how we can achieve the creativity? To understand that, we will be going through common law model, the other concept of legal reasoning and growth of law. To start with the topic, I would discuss what is the concept of judicial process that we have already studied. It is actually an intellectual process by which judges decide cases. They comprehend the waves of their mind. They put in deliberate efforts of their subconscious mind. They put in all the element of their own personality, their own experiences, their own behavioral traits, their surroundings, their environment in which they are living, and ultimately by using all these things they analyze the case based on the current situation, evidences and available scenario. So this is how person to person, judges to judges, one judge can decide on the same ground with the same case law or with the same precedent, with the same statute, with the same provisions available. One judge can decide differently from other because it is in intellectual process. It is nothing like that it will be remain similar for each and every person. That is why we have seen that when we generally heard that, like, if the bench is there, the judges bench is there, then partially few judges give the positive approach and the other few of them give dissenting opinion for that particular case. This may happen. So we are discussing today how judicial process can put in creativity in law. So law, as we have understood up till now, generally what is the concept of law, and law is a legislation and it is made by the legislative authority. So if we talk about India, as we know, under Article 50 in Indian Constitution, we know the separation of power is there, and that is why three different bodies are there to govern our country, and these three different bodies have their different mechanism as on the basis of available authority given to them. So legislature body has different authority, their role is different as they are to make the laws. Executive bodies are there to execute the laws, and lastly the judicial body is there when if there comes the lacuna or loophole comes in the execution of any law. In that case, the role of judicial organ comes in. Now, whenever judges are deciding the case, how they decide the case? Whenever anything gets violated, any law or any statute, any provision is getting violated, in that case, whenever case come to the judge has to decide, judge has to compare what is to be expected behavior as per given under the statute, under the act, and if the person is violating that particular act, then what exactly that person is doing wrong and for what reason, in what situation, why that person is behaving wrongly against the law or against the public expected public behavior, why he is doing that. And to understand any case, the judge has to go through each and every thing, and he has to relate, he has to compare the things with other cases too. And that is why we can see that the concept of precedent, the stare decisions also comes in, because whenever similar type of issues come to any judge, in that case judge tries to compare his current case with the available case laws or available precedent, and on the basis of that precedent also many times the judge takes the decision. If the judge find that yes, the situation and the issues are very much similar to it, and if the precedent that we will be discussing in our next topics, how precedent works and how it will be applicable to which type of cases, and what is the authority of precedent, everything. So ultimately judges decides the case for the welfare of the society. So social ordering is at the utmost aim, or whatever vision of our country, to give the satisfaction to general people, common man, and that is what expected from the judiciary, to satisfy the expectation of the common man, and that is why they are working hard. So this is how judicial process works in, and judicial process tries in to give creativity in law, because legislative authority, they are making the plain laws, but many times they are having the lacunas and loopholes and gaps in their in the laws whatever has been made by the legislator. So in that case, the role of judges comes to make the laws for the gaps, for the portion of gaps where there is no law made by the legislation. So how judge bring creativity in law? So role of the judges starts with the interpretation. Actual role of judges, they are not there to make the new laws, but they are just to interpret whatever is there in statute, whatever is there in act, and what has been violated by the person who has done the wrongful act. So that is just the actual role of judges is just to just interpretation of the statute. So whenever we talk about interpretation, again there are three rules to be followed generally by judges. First is literal rule. In the case of literal rule, they just have to follow word to word whatever has been given in the statute. They don't need to interpret, or they don't need to dissect the words, or interpret it in a different way. They just have to interpret the plain meaning of words, and when they are unambiguous in nature, if they are straight and plain, easy to understand, then generally they can use the literal rule. But one weakness or one drawback of this literal interpretation is many times the absurdity comes in, means like many times the absurd decision comes in, because just judges feel that no, I just want to follow the literal rules, I will follow the whatever has been given in the statute. So many times they give decision which are not much of to the beneficial to the society. The example of this kind of cases has been seen as A.K. Gopalan versus State of Madras in 1950. That time this law is also known as narrow interpretation of Article 21. Why narrow interpretation? Because in this case, at that time, the interpretation of word of life was in question. Because whenever we are discussing right to life under Article 21, that was in question, but at that time the judges has followed literal meaning of the rule, and that is why they have given the kind of decision, and that is why this case is known as narrow interpretation of Article 21. And against this, the Supreme Court has overruled this, and in Menka Gandhi's case, they have the judges have interpreted Article 21 very widely, and they have given wide interpretation of right to life, to live with dignity, to move freely, and very enlarged interpretation of Article 21 has been given in Menka Gandhi's case. So this is how we can understand how literal rule can create difficulty in solving the case. The another rule generally in the form of interpretation judges use, that is known as golden rule. When judges are there, when they don't want to use the literal rule, and that time if they want to avoid the absurd outcome, in that case they use the golden rule. By using the golden rule, they can remove the drafting errors from the statute, and they can correct it immediately. It means that in the form of golden rule, they have to read the statute from the statute or act it is, but they don't have to just take plain meanings of them, but they can also correct little words in that if they find it is not technically or grammatically adjusting in that particular statute. But one disadvantage of this golden rule is that many times, by just interpreting it in the different way, or to avoid that grammatical or errors of statute, many times if judge replace the important word or they interpret it in different way, altogether the technicality of the statute get changed in that situation. So that is a disadvantage of that rule too. So up till now we have discussed two rules of the interpretation. One is literal rule, second is golden rule. The third we will be looking into, that is the mischief rule. The mischief rule is when we are discussing today the creativity in law. For this concept, the mischief rule is very much important and has biggest scope for the judges, because in case of mischief rule, the judges can use that interpretation method. They can the rule allows statute to be refined and to be developed by the judges too. So it is not that the plain reading, but even judges can dissect the statute. They can use the gap between, they can enlarge the gap, and they can develop the statute if they want to, according to their skills and according to their reasoning available to them with the particular cases. So this is how mischief rule works. And the example of this we can see that, as we have discussed in Menka Gandhi's case, the Article 21, the right to life, has been given a major enlargement or expansion in the form of their definition itself. And now if we study only Article 21, it has many things to it. Right to life to live with dignity, right to have healthy environment, right to have livelihood, right to have first aid, and so many things to it. Right to have education is also part of Article 21A. So this is how mischief rule has worked for the betterment of the society. By using the mischief rule only, judge can play their ideal role as a making the laws. After that, we can also discuss one concept or one doctrine when generally this is generally used in the Indian Constitution, that is harmonious construction. The concept of harmonious construction also judges use when they find that there are two provisions and the legal text of two provisions seems to be conflicting with each other. In that case, they should interpret the in provision in such a manner that the separately both the articles will not get disturbed, and they will not have get nullified by their effect or impact. This is how judge can play the very vital role by the proper interpretation of the statute. Second role, it is done by the filling the gaps, as we have discussed through the mischief rule. Many times actual role of judges comes in the form of judge-made laws. It means that when judge realize that there are statute, there are provision available, but there are gap in whatever there is in theory form, and whenever it comes to the execution, there is a gap, and to solve the gap, to ease in the gap, the judge can make the clear-cut provision or guideline. Judge can suggest that in the form of precedent. The other role comes of the judge in the form of recommendation, and that we can easily see, and we have gone through many times, like different committees get settled for to solve different issues. In that case, many times Supreme Court give guidelines when there is no act, or when there is no statute available for any particular thing. In that case, the precedent or guideline can play a major role of authenticity. That example we can see in Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan case. There were no rule available for sexual harassment at workplace, and that is why Supreme Court has given detailed guideline. So up to 2013, when the statute actually came in, up to that time, the Vishaka's case of known as a precedent, and the guideline has used as a guideline to solve the sexual harassment related cases. There are many examples to it. The other case, like DK Basu versus State of West Bengal, in which again the Supreme Court has given guideline how to arrest any individual by the policeman, what type of procedure policeman has to follow. Then different committees, as we have discussed, Lingdo committee's report is there for the college election, and how to deal with college election, and how not to make that student up to the criminal activity and such like that. So in form of recommendation also, judge plays an important role. Then it comes to mediation. We all know that, as we are the law student, generally judges motivate everyone for the mediation. They want us to follow the mediation when the issue, because when issues comes in, if anyone wants to go follow the court method, it takes too much of time and energy and money and everything, and that is why judges can also play the role as a mediation, and they can resolve the cases outside the court. And that is also a very important step to speedy disposal of cases, and less of energy and money will get spent in the litigation. Another role is also controller. As a controller, judge plays an important role when it comes to controlling any legislative authority, to how to make the laws, to control them, not to make any ultra vire laws which are outside the boundary of their limit. This is how judge plays an important role in putting in creativity in law. Now, common law model, generally we follow the Supreme Court is apex court of India, and as per our Indian Constitution, Article 141, it gives the authority to Supreme Court to give the decision, and those decisions are known as precedent. Landmark decision are known as precedent, and those precedent has to be followed by the other court, who comes down to the means like subordinate courts to the Supreme Court. So as per Article 141, the precedent and decision of Supreme Court has to be followed by all courts except Supreme Court, because Supreme Court doesn't have that binding of following its own decision, because the concept of judicial review comes in, and that is why except Supreme Court, all courts are bound by the precedent. The high courts are also have to follow the precedent, and otherwise we also know that how if the person is wanting to go into or want to file the writ petition, or they want to go into the appeal, in that case the under Article 226 they can approach the High Court, under Article 32 they can approach the Supreme Court, likewise. So this is how the common model of our Indian law system works. So in the hierarchy, first Supreme Court comes, then High Court, then the lower court comes in District Court, in that Session Court, Magistrate Court, or they comes under the subordinate court category. Now we will be looking into legal reasoning and growth of law by the change and stability. When we are discussing legal reasoning and growth of the law, but it is required to change, because we know that law is a dynamic subject and it gets changed with the requirement of the society. But again, if law is such that if it keeps on changing easily every time, then there will be no stability. There will be no stability in the legislation. There will be no stability in case of justice for the same issues. If one court is giving different judgment and the other court is giving different judgment, then there will be no uniformity to them. And that is why the concept of precedent is so much important, and generally judges tries to follow that concept to maintain stability of the judicial system. By maintaining stability of the judicial system, they can have the faith of the common people with them. This is how the concept of legal reasoning and how the growth of law occurs, that works. But as we have discussed up till now, and Justice Bhagwati, who is very renowned judge, he has also mentioned that as we are in developing country and our country is moving ahead, so it is to have the strong backbone of the judiciary is the very essential element of any developing country. Independence and free and independence of judiciary, that is also a prime element of our Indian constitution. When our constitution came into existence, that time they have kept the concept of justice, equality, that those words they have used even in the preamble. So they have considered this as a prime element of our judiciary. And this is how the judiciary works on different manner. They try to give creativity, they try to develop the laws in the better manner, but judge cannot just to give creativity, judge cannot cross the boundaries. They have to make the laws in given statute, in given limitation. That is how the judicial process works in the creativity of law. So with this we have completed another topic of Unit 1. You can go through in detail and you can come back to me if you come across any query. Thank you.